Well, welcome home, Carters and Cardettes. So today, I'd like to go through a few things with electric cars. So, this past weekend, Saturday to be exact, I had an opportunity, and I made a big deal about this. I posted stuff on Facebook, told all my friends about it. I had an opportunity of a lifetime to drive not one, but two uh, EVs, electric cars, Cybertruck and a Cadillac Lyriq. I was looking forward to it. I had every intention to film it, but unfortunately, when I pulled in, I had all my camera gear and all that, and like any other person in the world, I always ask for permission at the end too, or just before I'm about to do it too, because it's not fair for those who are going to ride in the test drive. You're going to show you everything about their car, or what they know about the car at least, and you can learn from them. So I asked every single one of them before I rode in the car, would it be okay if I filmed? And take a guess at what every single one of them said. Nope, no filming. No filming for you. No, no, just no. Don't film. So I apply. I was okay with their reasonings, and mainly because they didn't want to be on camera. I don't really know how to blur out faces just quite yet, so that's still a learning experience for me. I've been practicing a little bit, but it's nowhere near good enough to where I can comfortably say you'll never see them or you'll never hear them. I got a microphone and everything for it the other day too, which is disappointing because I actually invested into what I thought was going to be some really good content and coverage for it. But the point of this video is to not only go over what my personal experience was with the electric cars and as compared to like the Chevrolet Tahoe, which you are on right now, or other gas cars like the Saturn Vue, Nissan Rogue, Kia, Soul, the Mercedes right there. There's more Buicks over there. I like Buicks. Buicks are fun. I had a couple of them. I had a lot of fun with each of them. But the point of this video is not to bash on electric cars, not to bash on gas cars like these, like the one you're on and the ones behind me. It's more or less to kind of go over like a CNN, NBC, Fox News reporter, if you will, or a local news reporter. Whatever news you watch, think of them as that, or think of me as that right now. My goal is to give you what I learned, and I'm going to give you as much information that I learned off of it so you can make an informative decision on an electric car or a motorcycle like the one going by right now or a gas car. So, my experience with them all. So, I drove I drove a 2026 Cadillac Lyriq, a 2026 Tesla Cybertruck. It's so weird to me not saying like a Chevrolet or this, that, or the other. I'm still learning to say Tesla to go that far. But when I got there, well, there was a line for both the Cybertruck and the Lyriq. So a guy came walking up to me and goes, "Would you like the opportunity to drive the Mach E?" You're darn right I'd like to drive something else. I absolutely would. So I got to drive the Mach E, and first thing that came to mind when I was driving them is, yeah, there's torque in there. So as they're pulling out, and I only got a chance to drive each of them like for 15 minutes or if that. So got into the Mach E, drove around. As I was coming up to the traffic light to turn right out, or coming up to the traffic light, I took off my foot off of the accelerator like normal, you know. Well, only this time it was not quite normal. I had no idea ahead of time that when you get off when you get off the gas on an electric car, and maybe I should have just researched all of this before I went out and went test driving them. But I'm an idiot and I didn't. So when you let off the gas on an electric car, you're actually braking too. I know. I'm still trying to comprehend how the heck that's possible, or how that works. But it's the case. I'm like, I let off my foot. I'm like, what the heck? We're nowhere near the stop sign yet, or the traffic light. And he's like, well, yeah, because when you let off the gas, it applies the brakes. And here I am thinking I'm just going to do one of those good old coast up to the stop sign, stop light, sit there for a little bit, drink a Mountain Dew, this, that, and the other, whatever you wanted to do. Talk to your partner sitting next to you on the drinker's side. Like, look, he is. It goes, oh, there's a regenerative brake. A regenerative brake. How does that work, you ask? Well, apparently what happens when the regenerative brake gets kicked on, it's supposed to reverse or cool the motors, the electric motors. Remind you, on an electric car, there's one for each wheel that drives. This is the Mustang's Mach E is a 4-wheel, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 for each wheel, 4 motors. So the way it works, the motor is cooling off, and when it cools off, it slows down the wheels. If I had any idea beforehand, I probably wouldn't be as surprised or as shocked as I still am. Or I might find it really freaking cool. I did not know. So, yeah, it was not very cool when I got behind it. So, the next car I got to drive, and pulled back in, and was still recovering from the surprise of when I take my foot off the gas, I'm actually stopping. And next came up with the Lyriq. The Lyriq was really nice. I really liked the Lyriq. The Lyriq was extremely comfortable, as you expect with any Cadillac product that you've ever driven in or rode in, from literally the dawn of time to today. I've rode in a couple of Cadillacs. I loved every single one of them. This is the first time I got to drive one, and ironically, that's only the second time I drove an electric car. So to compare the Cadillac Lyriq to the Mach E, the Lyriq was absolutely, hands down, better than the Mustang Mach E. There was so much more power in it. You felt like you were driving a normal car, which, as hard as it may sound, that's actually a plus for these cars, because not all of them you can brake with the brake pedal. So you brake with the brake pedal, but on the GMs, I'm not 100% certain if the electric trucks have this option. Again, I would have to look at them or see them up close in person to really get an idea on it. But it does have the regen brakes, or I'm just going to call it the reverse brakes. Because on my Tahoe here, I got disc brakes and I got drum brakes. Cars like the Mach E, you don't really necessarily need them. Which I'm still, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still flabbergasted by it. All right, I'm here. I tried to gather my thoughts and all that, but I'm still flabbergasted by it. I'm sorry. So, anywho, we're getting in there. I'm gonna, at the end of this video, I'm gonna throw in a couple of clips from the car dealership that's right behind me here, the Chevrolet dealership, because I found a Chevrolet Equinox, which is very similar, not quite the exact same as the Lyriq, or Equinox EV, I should say. And I kind of go into a little bit more detail on how that brake works. Basically, on the GM products, we're up here behind the steering wheel, as compared to just lifting off the throttle and having God knows what's going on happening there. So, another thing I want to mention with the Cadillac, when you go in and you go to start it up, When you start it up, you literally just tap the gas pedal, or might have been the brake pedal. I'm not entirely certain. Usually it's the brake pedal if you have to tap to start, but there's no tap to start button on these. There's no keys like that. So it's really just a learning curve for me. I'm still thinking I need another learning curve to really inform a better opinion on these electric cars. So with that out of the way, when you got out of the Lyriq, you go to turn it off. This is the other interesting thing. You can't just tap the brake or gas pedal to turn it off. No, that would be way too easy when it's in park. So when you throw in the park, you have to unbuckle the steering wheel and open the door. When you open the door and unbuckle the seatbelt, that's the sign for the car to turn off. Where's the safety in that? I mean, I got to that point and I really enjoyed it. Like, I laid down in the throttle for this Lyriq, and my God, you just lean back in your seat the whole time. Or when you actually got it, or when I got a chance to actually lay in the throttle. I mean, it was so much fun driving it. So then we go to arguably the most controversial and easily the most influential electric car, or in this case, an electric truck, on the market today. And that is the Tesla Cybertruck. So, bear in mind, the Tesla Cybertruck I was told, was the only truck with a full reserve on it for that day. I can remember. I'll try and tell you how many cars there were an option for. You only had choice to pick two. Me and my dad showed up early, so we were able to drive a third car. So, if I remember correctly, from left to right, there was a Tesla Model 3, there was a Cybertruck, Lyriq, Mach E. I think it's called I'm an Optique, Cadillac Optique. I think a Nissan Leaf, and they had a Hummer EV and the GMC Sierra EV truck. So that was your lineup to choose from. The only truck, or the only car, that had that was full for the whole entire weekend, which was a Saturday and Sunday event from, I think it was like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., something like that. The only vehicle that was full or fully booked, was the Cybertruck. Bear in mind, this is a truck that we all bash on. I still bash on it after I drove it. And I got a perfect reason to do that, because I actually got a chance to drive it. So, after driving it, or in order to drive it, this is the weird thing with it. I think, if I remember correctly from what they told me, the lady told me, Teslas are only one pedal, or one pedal drives. There are two pedals on it, like there should be, but the second pedal, which is your brake pedal, does absolutely nothing other than turn the car on and off. If you even get in to turn it on, because you can do it from your phone, and you can do it through a key. So right away, I'm confused off the bat. It's not like anything else I've ever driven in my life. The doors open and close on their own with the push of the button. I'm not that kind of guy. All right, I like closing my own door. I like to open my lady's door and closing it on her. No, that's the way I don't. That's the way I go. All right. So I get started in driving, and thankfully she told me right off the bat that it's a one pedal drive. I'm like, what are you talking about with that? So, as I just demonstrated, or as I just said, when you left the throttle, it applies to brake. You don't need the brake pedal, and the brake pedal's not going to do anything. So from there, it's already like hard to comprehend what the heck's going on with this thing. There's no blind spots in this thing because you can see just about everything. That's one benefit. That's one thing I will say positive about the Cybertruck. You can see just about anything and everything. The windows were massive. You could see this corner, that corner. There were very few blind spots, if any. But the driving experience was an interesting one. Yeah, it had a little bit of power, just like the Lyriq. I kind of did a couple shots of it, or launches, as they're calling it, with the EVs. Um, trying to remember if there's anything else to it. Um, we both. It was this was like her first few times of driving a Cybertruck herself, or the rep that was doing it, and so we got to talking, and we're like, well, how much does this cost? How much does that cost? Care to guess how much a new windshield on one of those Cybertrucks are? $3,500 just for the windshield. The door is $6,000. The tonneau cover, just the tonneau cover, it just rolls up like it would normally, but it's all electric because it's a Cybertruck and all that. $10,000 to replace the tonneau cover. It's a truck. We're going to destroy our tonneau covers. I've destroyed many a tonneau covers just by hauling random stuff home from the junkyard. I was a good boy. All right, I was a great boy. So, if I had to rate all three of them, I would put, or if I had to, if I had to rate all of them, I would go Mach E with, I'll call it 10. I'll rate them out of 10. So, Cybertruck, I hate doing this, only because I think of a Cybertruck as a gimmick car. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what in the devil? What is he calling what is he calling a gimmick car? A gimmick car, I would throw, or what do I consider a gimmick car? I consider a Cybertruck a gimmick car. I consider a Dodge Viper. Let's just face it. There's not much you can do with a Dodge Viper other than tear the living crap out of some tires. Chrysler Prowler didn't really do anything, right? The SSR. And there's a couple others I'm just drawing a blank on, but I would call it a gimmick car. You can't really do much with it. You can't really do little with it. It's basically just there, and it's all for show, if you will. It's a gimmick. I would give it a 2.5, maybe. If it weren't terrifying to drive, it might be a 3 to 3.5. But from a functionality standpoint, it's not the greatest truck out there on the market. Obviously, there are far better. I got just on the eyesight from here. I obviously got my Tahoe off to my right, but I got a Nissan Frontier, Chevrolet Silverado, and a Ford Maverick just off screen here. I would take all three of them over a Cybertruck any day of the week. Twice on Sunday. Well, maybe not twice on Sunday because I have to watch a NASCAR race. We're not getting into that. What would I rank for Mach E? Mach E was. Mach E really kind of felt like just. I know it's a crossover, and Mustang people are going to give me crap for calling it a Mustang, but the interior really felt like an old Mustang. Not like a 60s, 70s. I'm talking like a mid 2000s Mustang. That interior felt just like it, only with a lot more screen. I would rate the Mach E maybe a 3 to 3.5, maybe 4, maybe a very distant 4. So that brings up probably the greatest EV currently, in my opinion, Just going off of what I've known and what I've driven. That brings it to the Cadillac Lyriq. Cadillac Lyriq was a lot of fun to drive. It was so much fun to just lay in the throttle and just be pushed back in your seat. I've never felt anything quite that insane before. And again, at the end of this video, there's going to be a clip of a Equinox and a few more of just walking through the car dealership. I'm going to go over a little bit more in detail on it. But if I had to rate the Cadillac Lyriq from a scale of 1 to 10, I would go, I think I'd go a solid 8, 8.5. Push, and I would definitely buy one. If anyone wants to make some donations, I would buy one. Instant. Like that. It was a lot of fun to drive. And later in this video, or right now, we're going to go into detail, and we're going to walk over and walk through costs of everything for EV, or not the cost of everything for an EV. In the very next clip here, we're going to walk through the car dealership, and we're going to discuss a few things regarding EVs and gas cars. So sit back and let's watch that part too. Because there's more to this. There's way more to this. So I know this isn't exactly a 1A to 1B kind of comparison. This is the only EV I can find here at our local Chevrolet dealership. This is a Equinox EV, which I don't know where the Lyriq ranks on it. I think the Lyriq is essentially the Blazer EV, but the Optique or whatever they call it, that's, I think, on this platform. I'm not sure. I would have to look. Well, there's a Blazer right there. It's a little, yeah. I think Lyriq is a Blazer. This is a Lyriq, or Blazer is a Lyriq. This is an Optique. I'm sorry. They sound the exact same to me. They're both foreign, so I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it because the windows are tinted on these. Actually, it'll be easier to come around this side. I'll show you, I think. So, with these electric cars, there is a brake, or you don't necessarily need to touch the brakes on them to get them to stop. The GMs, the Lyriq, the Blazers, that's not an EV, but it's a Blazer, if you know what I mean. This is an Equinox, and I don't know about the trucks, but I believe they have the same thing, where on the Tesla at least, or all Teslas, if I'm not mistaken, let me know in the comments below if you have the Tesla and yours doesn't. You don't really need to use the brake on these. As dumb as that may sound, the car will brake on itself. Not the GM. Because GM, you can still use the brakes and they have calipers, just like any ordinary car, or ordinary gas car, which is about 90% of everything that they have on the lot here today. You can also use I'm just going to call it a Jake brake. I guess what it is essentially is a regenerative brake that services the motor, the electric motors on it, and you can turn it on the screen to where when you let off the accelerator, it'll brake too, just like on the Tesla and the Mach E. But you can also control it on the steering wheel, which I prefer personally, because when that happened with the Mach E, I'm like, holy cow, what the heck is going on here? And then the Lyriq second, I think, yeah, second. The Lyriq was not as big a surprise because it operated just like an ordinary car. Then when the Cybertruck, or when you got in the Cybertruck, everything got thrown out the window because everything was completely different from either one of them. Basically on the Cybertruck, the brake pedal was just to turn it on and off. And that's pretty much it. So let's get into would I buy an electric car? Answer is no. However, I don't hate them. I definitely would like to drive a few more before I make a final decision on if I were to buy one or if I won't buy one. Because 15 minutes is not exactly well, how do we say it? Long enough to make a decision on a car to last, or hopefully to last 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years in. I mean, it's just not enough at that point. Um, I would say the one thing I would do with an electric car after Saturday, I would absolutely, if I were to ever go on a vacation and were to fly there, I would 1,000% go out and rent a EV because it's fun. It's a lot of fun driving well, at least the Lyriq, that is, because I had a lot of fun driving it. I'm not going to sit here and deny it. The power in which it accelerated when you hit the gas pedal, it was out of this world. Like there was nothing. It was insane how far back it pushed you in your seat. Like it is. I've been thrown back in my seat a little bit with old cars, this, that, and the other, just doing a launch. It was nothing like this. Like the raw torque in which it took off with was insane. You can't replicate that with Silverado, Equinox, Trailblazer, or I'm sorry, Blazer, Trax, or anything like this. You cannot replicate that with anything or any of these. That you can only replicate. Well, you can't even see it from here. Sorry, but you can't replicate it with an electric car. It's it's fun to drive. So breaking down the two of them, the Tesla Cybertruck and the Equinox, or not Equinox, the Lyriq, the Cadillac Lyriq. Um, I definitely, I definitely prefer the Lyriq by a long shot. Hands down, Lyriq is far better than the Cybertruck. I really only drove the Cybertruck to try and get views on it, but unfortunately, they didn't let me film anything from there or on the test drives. Or, I mean, we've had power outages. If I made money on YouTube, I don't, by the way. I'm just doing this for fun. This is a lot of fun for me. Shouldn't I at least make enough money back to where, I could cover my expenses for fueling my generator or replacing the food in my uh, refrigerator if I'm not blessed to have a generator. I think then you should be able to film it. You're an electric company. You should. If anything, I could give you quite a big shout out, and you can share a video and all that. You can show it to everyone. Like, look how much fun this is. But I guess maybe it's, if anything, it's probably because of how much people dog electric cars, which I get and I don't at the same time because yeah, they're not reliable. There's no way you can tell me that these are a reliable car. Look at all the problems that we've had with the Dodge Charger EV or Teslas. Teslas had numerous problems themselves too. It's inevitable. It's a modern car, so obviously there's going to be problems with them. But for whatever reason, an electric car seems to have far more problems than a gas car at the moment. So that I can understand people dodging them on. But I drove them. I drove them. They're fun to drive. They are a lot of fun to drive. I would absolutely drive any number of them again, once or twice. I would never own one because A, repair costs scare the crap out of me. B, we're so limited on chargers. If you were to travel out of state for some reason or another, or to go on a vacation, you really kind of can't do that because, hold on, here's the car coming up. So take two on that. Um, so yeah, if you're going on a vacation, you're pretty much screwed. Let's just face it. Yeah, there are probably, my area is not the best to really compare to 1A to 1B for. I mean, I'd assume there's more electric chargers out in areas where the gas is more expensive, like California, New York. Um, if I had, I think if I were to break it down for my state, at least in Michigan, that's where we're from. That's where a lot of these cars are made nowadays too. Like, well, that's not a good example of it. That's made in Michigan. So if I had to compare, so it seems like people like to follow the Elmer. Maybe they're Carters and Cardettes. Maybe I should recommend my channel to them. But I was saying with the gas, well, not necessarily gas prices, but electric fill stations as compared to, I don't know what they call them, chargers. I'll call them chargers. That's what it is for my phone and all that. And they run on electricity too. So I had to make a guesstimate on how many there are compared to a gas station around here. I'd say 1 to 10, or one charger to 10 gas stations. And I mean, it's quite a lot, really, when you think about it. Especially if you were to, drive out of state or something. Who's not to say it's going to be worse? And this Ohio to Wyoming, obviously Wyoming is going to be terrible if you're driving out west. But I think my point is, right now it doesn't really make sense to me. It's making more every day. It seems like it makes a little bit more sense because there are more and more and more chargers coming out. But at the same time, it's not really efficient, is it? Because you're sitting at a charger for an hour plus waiting for your car to charge when you could get in and out with, like, this Kia, for an example, behind me at a gas station in under, I don't know, 2 minutes. You grab beef jerky, it's probably only closer to like 5 6 minutes with a bathroom break and everything thrown in there. So really, this Kia would have him beaten, no problem, no questions whatsoever, in my opinion. But and again, going right back to where the heart of every gearhead is, it was a lot of fun to drive. At least the Lyriq. I did not have fun with the Cybertruck. So we'll leave it up to you guys in the comments below. Would you drive a electric car if you were given an opportunity? I would highly suggest do it. Would I recommend buying one? Maybe if you're only driving local. But outside of that, I would not trust them. I would not trust them. But anywho, and remember, y'all, as we walk up to the electric car one final time, driving's a privilege. So go out and drive something fun today, y'all. And I'll see you later.